That is the only job this idiot is good for. Those words still echo in my head like a dry blow against my chest. I heard them 5 years ago, but I feel them as if they were spoken yesterday. Every syllable, every look of contempt, every laugh, everything remained etched in my memory like a scar that never fully healed. My name is Emily Barnes. I am 60 years old, and this is the story of how a mother turned her son's humiliation into the most painful lesson an arrogant man could ever receive. It all started on a Tuesday in September. The sky was clear. I remember the smell of fresh coffee in my kitchen while I made breakfast. Michael, my only son. He had gotten up earlier than usual. He had that mix of nervousness and excitement that only a first day of work can provoke. "Mom, I am going to be late," he told me while adjusting his tie in front of the hallway mirror. I looked at him with pride. My Michael, 28 years old, a degree in business administration, so many sleepless nights, so many sacrifices, so many overtime hours I worked to pay for his college, everything to turn him into that elegant man standing in front of me. "You are going to be perfect, my love. Your father-in-law will realize he made an excellent decision by hiring you." Michael smiled, but there was something in his eye, something I could not decipher at that moment. Nervousness, perhaps. Or maybe fear. "Thanks, Mom. I will call you when I get out." I hugged him. He smelled of expensive cologne, of fulfilled dreams, of a promising future. I closed the door and watched through the window as his car disappeared into the morning traffic. I did not know that 3 hours later, my life was going to change forever. I spent the morning restless. I could not concentrate on anything. I washed dishes that were already clean. I arranged cushions that did not need arranging. I checked my phone every 5 minutes, waiting for a message that never arrived. By noon, the anxiety turned into something stronger. A hunch. Those hunches only mothers have, the ones that let us know without logical explanation that something is not right. I grabbed my purse, my car keys, and I left for my son's father-in-law's company, Sterling Industries. The golden letters read on the facade, a 5-story building in the business district, imposing, cold, like its owner. I entered through the reception. The girl at the entrance smiled with professional courtesy. "Good afternoon. I am here to see Michael Barnes. He started today. 1 moment, please." I waited, standing up, feeling my heart beat faster and faster. Something was not right. I could feel it in the air, in the silence that was too long from that receptionist, in the way she looked away. "Ma'am, I think Mr. Michael is in the maintenance area, 3rd floor." Maintenance Michael was an administrator. He had a university degree. What was he doing in maintenance? I took the stairs because I did not want to wait for the elevator. Every step was a question without an answer. Every floor was a growing anguish. I reached the 3rd floor. I followed the signs. Maintenance area. Authorized personnel only. I pushed the door open. And then I saw him. My son. My Michael. The boy I raised alone after his father abandoned us. The young man who graduated with honors. The man who invested 5 years of his life studying to be someone in this world. He was on his knees, in front of a toilet, wearing yellow rubber gloves, scrubbing an employee bathroom. The world stopped. And then I heard the voice, that deep, arrogant voice, full of poison. "That is the only job this idiot is good for." I looked up. There he was, Richard Sterling, my son's father-in-law, 52 years old, owner of Sterling Industries, father of Sarah, my son's wife. He was standing next to 2 other men in suits, laughing, pointing at Michael as if he were an object of mockery, and by his side, Sarah, my daughter-in-law, the woman my son loved madly, the one who swore to love him in good times and bad. She was smiling. No, not just smiling. She was laughing, her eyes shining with complicity, as if her husband's humiliation was the funniest joke of the day. Michael looked up, and he saw me. Our eyes met. I saw something break inside him. I saw shame turn into tears. I saw my son, my boy, my strong man, crumble. Tears ran down his face. He said nothing. He just looked at me, as if begging me not to have seen that, as if asking for forgiveness for failing. But he had not failed. I knew that. Someone else had betrayed him. Richard Sterling saw me. His smile widened. "Ah, Emily, what a surprise. You came to see how your little college boy is learning the business from the bottom right. That is how we all start. With dirty hands." I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to rip that smile off his face. But I said nothing. I just looked at Michael one last time, then at Sarah, then at Richard. I turned around. I walked out of that building with my head held high and my soul destroyed. I got into my car. I closed the door and I took out my phone. I dialed a number I had saved for years. A man who had helped me with my divorce. A man who knew how to move mountains when I asked him to. Mr. Davis, this is Emily Barnes. I need you to investigate something for me, and I need you to do it fast. There was a pause. I want to buy a company, Sterling Industries. I want to know everything. Debts, assets, weaknesses, everything. And I want no one to know it is me asking. Another pause. How much time do you have, Mr. Davis? 2 weeks, Mrs. Barnes. Maximum. Perfect. I will pay whatever is necessary. I hung up. I started the car. And as I drove back home, a single phrase resonated in my mind. No one humiliates my son. No one. Michael was born on a rainy April morning. I remember the sound of rain against the hospital window while I held him for the first time. He was so small, so fragile, so perfect. His father, Ernest, was there for the first 3 years. Then, he simply left. One morning, I woke up and found a note on the kitchen table. I cannot handle this responsibility anymore. Forgive me. That was it. Not an explanation. Not a goodbye for his son. Just a note and the silence he left when closing the door. I was 25 years old, no college degree, no family to support me, with a 3-year-old boy looking at me with those huge eyes asking where Daddy was. Daddy had to go very far away, my love, but Mom is always going to be here. Always. And I kept that promise. I worked in everything I could, first as a secretary in an accounting firm. Then I got a better position in an import company. I worked overtime. I worked Saturdays, sometimes even Sundays. Everything so Michael would not lack anything. We lived in a small apartment downtown, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen where we barely fit, but it was our home, and we filled it with love. I remember the afternoons doing homework with him at the dining table. Michael was brilliant. He got straight A's. Teachers always told me the same thing. Your son has a promising future, Ms. Barnes. He is intelligent, responsible, dedicated, and I knew it. I saw that spark in his eyes, that hunger to learn, that determination he inherited from me. When he finished high school, the moment for the most important decision arrived. Mom, I want to study business administration. I want to be someone. I want you to retire someday and not have to work anymore. He hugged me that afternoon, and I cried. I cried of pride. I cried of fear, too, because I knew what it meant. State University, one of the best and one of the most expensive. I crunched numbers that night, over and over again. I calculated my income, my expenses, my savings. It was not enough, not even close. But I was not going to tell him no, not to my Michael. I sold the car. I started taking the bus. I asked for a loan at the bank. I got a second job on weekends teaching Spanish to kids. I slept 4 hours a day, sometimes less. But I did it. Michael got into college, and from the first semester, he stood out. He came home on Friday nights. I prepared his favorite meal, roast chicken with mashed potatoes. We sat in the living room and he told me everything, his classes, his projects, his dreams. Someday I will have my own company, Mom, and you will be the first shareholder, I promise. The only thing I want is to see you happy, my love, and for you to be a good man. Money comes and goes, but dignity, that is never lost. I never imagined that years later that conversation would resonate in my head with so much pain. Michael graduated at 23, with honors. I was in the front row at the ceremony, wearing my best dress, the navy blue one I bought especially for that occasion. I cried when I heard his name. I cried when I saw him go up on stage. I cried when he received his diploma. That framed piece of paper meant everything. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every dollar I stopped spending on myself to invest in him. I hugged him after the ceremony. You did it, my boy. You're a professional, a graduate. We did it, Mom. This is yours as much as mine. That night, we had dinner at a nice restaurant. He insisted on paying with the money from his first bonus as an intern. We ordered wine. We toasted. We laughed. Life was finally smiling at us. 2 years later, Michael met Sarah. It was at a business conference. She worked at her father's company as a human resources coordinator. She was pretty, educated, from a good family, according to Michael. Mom, I think she is the woman of my life. He had that light in his eyes, that illusion, that pure love that is only felt the first time. I met her 3 weeks later. Michael brought her to dinner. Sarah arrived with a bouquet of flowers for me and a perfect smile. Too perfect, I thought. Mrs. Barnes. Michael speaks wonders of you. It is an honor to meet you. We had dinner. We chatted. She was charming. She asked questions. She smiled. She said all the right things. But there was something I could not identify, a coldness behind that smile, a distance in her look when she saw me. When they left that night, I kept thinking, was it just my overprotective mother instinct, or was there really something that unsettled me? Michael was in love, deeply. He talked about her all the time, about their plans together, about the life they would build. 6 months later, he announced the engagement. Mom, I asked Sarah to marry me. She said yes. I should have been happy, and I was. But I also felt a knot in my stomach. Are you sure my love marriage is forever? You have to be completely sure. I have never been more sure of anything in my life, Mom. The wedding was in the garden of the Sterling estate, a huge mansion in the suburbs, impeccable gardens, stone fountain, catering service for 200 people. I arrived alone, wearing my beige dress I bought at the department store. I sat in the groom's family chairs, surrounded by people I did not know, people who looked me up and down, people who whispered. I met Richard Sterling that day, tall, heavy-set, Italian suit, gold watch, that smile of a man who is used to everyone doing what he says. So you are the famous Emily. Michael has told me about you, a hard-working woman, admirable. There was condescension in his voice, as if hard-working was a euphemism for poor. Thank you, Mr. Sterling. Michael is a great man. I am sure he will be an excellent husband for your daughter. I hope so. Sarah deserves the best, and I make sure she always has the best. He shook my hand, a firm grip. Too firm, like marking territory. His wife, Catherine, was more subtle, elegant, distant. She greeted me with a polite smile and then disappeared among the guests. The ceremony was beautiful. Michael looked nervous but happy. Sarah was radiant in her wedding dress that must have cost more than what I earned in a year. When they said I do, I felt a mix of joy and melancholy. My boy was already a married man. He was no longer just mine. At the reception, I danced with Michael, a slow song. You are the most important man in my life, Michael. Never forget that. And you are the strongest woman I know, Mom. Everything I am, I owe to you. He kissed my forehead. I did not know that a year later, that same man would be on his knees cleaning a bathroom, humiliated by the father of the woman he loved. After the wedding, Michael and Sarah went to live in a condo in the city. Nice, modern, furnished by Catherine Sterling, of course. I visited them from time to time. Sarah was always polite, but there was something, that same coldness I felt the first time, that way of looking at me as if I did not belong in her world. Michael worked at a logistics company. He was doing well, he earned a decent salary, but Sarah wanted more. Always more. Michael, my love, why do not you talk to my dad? He could give you a position in his company. You would earn double, triple even. I heard it one afternoon when I went to bring them some cookies I had baked. I do not know Sarah. I want to earn things by myself. I do not want them to think I am there just because I am your husband. Do not be silly, Michael. In this world, opportunities must be seized. My dad is willing to help you. You should be grateful. Michael looked at me. There was doubt in his eyes. What do you think, Mom? I should have told him no. I should have warned him, but I saw the illusion on his face, the desire to give more to his wife, to prove to his father-in-law that he was capable. If that is what you want, my love, do it, but never compromise your values. Never. 3 months later, Richard Sterling offered him the position, operations manager. That was the title, a generous salary, excellent benefits. Michael accepted. His first day was a Tuesday in September. He got up early, nervous, excited. Mom, I am going to be late, he told me while adjusting his tie in front of the hallway mirror, and I, naive, smiled at him. You are going to be perfect, my love. Your father-in-law will realize he made an excellent decision by hiring you. I closed the door. I watched him walk away, and 3 hours later, my world crumbled because I found my son on his knees, cleaning bathrooms, while his father-in-law called him an idiot and his wife smiled. That night, Michael arrived at my house. He knocked on the door past 10 at night. When I opened it, his eyes were red. He smelled of cleaning products, of humiliation. Mom, he collapsed in my arms. He cried like he had not cried since he was a child. He cried until he lost his voice. I am sorry, Mom. I am so sorry. Forgive me. I hugged him. I stroked his hair. Like when he was 5 and had nightmares. You have nothing to apologize for, my love. Nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. That night he stayed in his old room, in the bed where he grew up, surrounded by his school trophies, his diplomas, his dreams. And I stayed awake in the living room, staring at the ceiling, thinking about every sacrifice I made, every dollar I spent on his education, every promise I made him that if he worked hard, if he studied, if he was a good man, the world would open its doors, and the world had spit in his face. But I was not going to allow it. I grabbed my phone. I dialed Mr. Davis's number again. Mr. Davis, this is Emily Barnes again. I need you to speed up that investigation, and I need it to be exhaustive. I want to know everything about Richard Sterling and his company. Absolutely everything. Mr. Davis called me 4 days later. It was Friday afternoon. I was at the office finishing some reports when I saw his name on my screen. Mrs. Barnes, I have preliminary information. Can we meet? How bad is it? There was a pause. One of those pauses that tell you more than 1,000 words. I think it is better to speak in person. Tomorrow at 10 in my office, I will be there. That night, I did not sleep. I spent it tossing and turning in bed, imagining what he could have discovered. Debts, fraud, legal problems. Michael had returned to his condo with Sarah 3 days after that humiliation. He called me every day. His voice sounded dull, broken. Mom, I do not know what to do. Richard says this is part of the learning process, that everyone in the company starts like this, that it is to know the business from the bottom. And what does Sarah say, Silence? She says I should not be proud, that my problem is I have too much pride, that her dad is doing this for my own good. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. Michael listened to me carefully. You studied 5 years to be an administrator, not to clean toilets. And there is nothing wrong with cleaning toilets if that is your job, but it is not yours. You have a university degree. You have capacity. You have talent. I know, Mom, but I do not want to cause problems. Sarah says if I quit, her dad will get offended, that he will think I am ungrateful. And what about your dignity, Michael? What about your self-respect? Another silence. Give it time, Mom. Please, just a little more time. Time. That was exactly what I was buying, but not for my son to continue being humiliated, but to destroy the man who dared to humiliate him. Saturday at 10 o'clock sharp, I was at Mr. Davis's office, an office downtown, sober, elegant, law books from floor to ceiling. Mr. Davis was 62 years old, gray hair perfectly combed, gray suit, navy blue tie. He had helped me in my divorce over 20 years ago. He was expensive, but he was good, very good. Emily, thanks for coming. He offered me a seat. His secretary brought us coffee. I waited for her to close the door to speak. What did you find? He opened a manila folder. Documents, financial statements, reports. Sterling Industries is in trouble. Serious trouble. My heart accelerated. Go on. Richard Sterling owns 60% of the shares. His wife, Catherine, has 20%. The other 20% is divided among 3 minority partners. The company manufactures automotive parts. They have contracts with several assembly plants. On paper, it looks good. On paper, in reality, they are on the verge of bankruptcy. I leaned forward. Explain. Mr. Davis turned the pages. He pointed to numbers, charts, projections. 3 years ago, Richard Sterling decided to expand the company. He opened 2 new plants, one in Ohio, another in Michigan. He invested more than $3 million. Money he did not have. Loans, bank loans with incredibly high interest rates. And the worst part, the plants are not generating the projected profits. One of them is operating at 30% capacity, the other at 40%. Why bad administration, contracts that fell through, problems with suppliers, and to top it off, Richard Sterling has a lifestyle way above his real possibilities. I thought about the wedding, about that mansion, the gardens, the catering service for 200 people. How bad is the situation? Mr. Davis looked me straight in the eyes. If he does not get a financial rescue in the next 6 months, he will have to declare bankruptcy. Banks are already pressuring him. He has overdue accounts payable, suppliers threatening to sue him, employees with delayed wages. But on the outside, he looks successful. Facade Emily, pure facade. That is what men like Richard Sterling do. They keep up appearances while everything crumbles inside. The house is mortgaged, the luxury cars, leased, Even the condo where Michael and Sarah live is in the company's name, not theirs. I leaned back in the chair, processing. And does he know you are investigating? No. I was very discreet. I used contacts. I checked public records. Financial statements they have to file by law. No one knows you are behind this. Good. How much would I need to buy the company? Mr. Davis raised his eyebrows. Emily, we are talking about millions. I know. How much? He made mental calculations. He checked numbers, taking into account the debts, the real value of assets, the financial situation. I would say with $1.5 million, you could buy the 60% Richard owns. And believe me, in his desperate situation, he would probably accept less. $1.5 million. It was a fortune, but I had saved for 35 years. I had invested well. I had properties I bought when prices were low and now were worth triple. I had stocks, savings, my severance pay from the company where I worked 25 years before switching. I had been poor, very poor, and I never wanted to be again, so every dollar I earned, I invested it. I multiplied it. I lived modestly. I drove a 2012 car. I rented a small apartment. I did not spend on luxuries. All that money I had kept for my retirement, for my future grandchildren's education, for emergencies. But this was an emergency. I want you to prepare an offer, anonymous, through a shell company, so Richard Sterling does not know it is me. Emily, are you sure it is a lot of money and it is a risk? Risk buying a bankrupt company is no guarantee you can save it. You could lose everything. I stared at him. Mr. Davis. My son has a university degree that I worked years to pay for. They humiliated him. They put him on his knees to clean toilets while his father-in-law called him an idiot. Do you think I care about money? Mr. Davis nodded slowly. I understand. Besides, if the company is as bad as you say, then Richard Sterling is going to fall anyway, with or without me. I'm just going to accelerate the process. And I am going to make sure that when he falls, I am the one there to see it. Very well. I will need access to your finances, bank statements, property, investments. I need to know what we are counting on. You will have everything on Monday. I left that office with a clarity I had not felt in days. I had a plan, and that plan was called justice. But first, I needed to know more. I needed to understand what was happening in Michael's life. What was Sarah telling him? What did Richard think he was achieving with this humiliation? That afternoon, I called Michael. Son, can we have lunch together tomorrow, just you and me, like before? Sure, Mom. Is everything okay? Everything is perfect, my love. I just want to see you. I miss you. I miss you too, Mom. We agreed to meet Sunday at 2 p.m. at a diner near my place, a small, quiet one, far from the suburbs and the Sterlings. Michael arrived on time. He was wearing a casual shirt, jeans. He looked tired, thinner. There were dark circles under his eyes. We sat at a table in the back. We ordered. I ordered a club sandwich. He ordered a burger. How is work going? I asked, although it hurt to do so. Michael looked away. It is going. It is going fine, Mom. Michael, do not lie to me, please. He sighed, long, deep. I am still in maintenance. Richard says in 2 more weeks he will move me to another area, but I have been cleaning for 3 weeks, and every day it is humiliating, Mom. Sarah still thinks this is normal. She says I am the one with attitude problems, that I should be grateful to have a job, that there are people who would clean bathrooms for much less than what they pay me. And how much do they pay you? Another pause. $2,000 a month. My blood froze. Michael, you earned $5,000 in your previous job. Why did you accept this? Because Richard said it was a probation period, that afterwards he would raise it to $6,000, that I just needed to prove I was capable of doing humble jobs. That is not a probation period, Michael. That is exploitation. I know, Mom. I know. But Sarah insists I give her dad a chance. That he knows what he is doing, that he is testing me, testing you on what, how far he can humiliate you before you quit. Michael stayed silent. He played with his fork. He did not look me in the eye. Son, look at me. He looked up. He had held back tears. You do not have to stay there. You can quit. You can look for another job. You are a business administrator. You have experience. If I quit, Sarah will think I am a failure. Her family already thinks I am not good enough for her, that I come from nothing, that I have no class. Did she tell you that? Not in those words, but I know. I see it in how they look at me, in how they speak. Catherine, Sarah's mom, always makes comments. "Oh, Michael, how curious your accent is." "Michael, does your mom live downtown? How quaint." "Michael, you had never tried caviar, right? It shows." I felt rage, pure rage. Michael Barnes, you are better than that whole family put together. Do you hear me? You have education, you have values, you have dignity, and if they do not see it, it is because they are too busy looking at themselves in the mirror. But I love them, Mom. I love Sarah, and I want her family to accept me. At what cost, son? Your self-esteem, your mental health, your dignity. He did not answer. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Michael spoke. "Richard told me something yesterday. What he said if I lasted 6 months in maintenance, he would give me a position as floor supervisor with a salary of $4,000, 6 months, 180 days of humiliation to earn less than what he already earned before." Michael, do you hear what you are telling me? He is offering you less money than you earn after 6 months of exploitation. I know, but Sarah and I want to have children soon, and she says she cannot raise children in a small apartment, that we need a house, that her dad can help us if I show commitment. There it was, the hook, the carrot in front of the donkey. Richard Sterling was not only humiliating my son, he was using him. He was breaking him psychologically to turn him into a submissive employee who would never tell him no. Michael listened to me very carefully. That man is not going to help you. He is going to use you until you have nothing left to give. And when he breaks you completely, he will discard you. You do not know him, Mom, no. But I know men like him. And I know how to recognize a predator when I see one. Michael shook his head. Give him a little more time. Just a little more, please. That was the moment I knew my son was lost in that relationship, that Sarah and her family had manipulated him so well he could no longer see the truth. But I could see it, and I could do something about it. We said goodbye in the parking lot. I hugged him tight. I love you, Michael, more than my own life, and I will never allow anyone to destroy you. Do you hear me? Never. I love you too, Mom. I drove back home with my soul destroyed, but with a clear mind. Monday morning, I went to the bank. I got bank statements. I went to a notary. I organized documents of my properties, of my investments, of everything. Tuesday, I handed it all to Mr. Davis. Here is everything I have. He checked the papers. He did calculations. Emily, you have more than I thought. With this, you can not only buy Richard's part, you can buy the whole company if you play your cards right. Then let us play right. It is going to take time. I need to structure the offer, create a shell company, look for ghost investors so it looks legitimate. Richard cannot suspect it is you. How much time? 2 months? Maybe 3? 2 months? 60 days? 1,440 hours of watching my son suffer. But it would be the last time. Do it, Mr. Davis. And do it right. That night I sat in my living room, alone, with a glass of red wine, looking out the window at the city lights. I thought about Michael as a child, about his dreams, his illusions. I thought about Richard Sterling, about his arrogance, his cruelty, and I thought about justice, that justice that sometimes takes time, but always arrives. No one humiliates my son, I murmured in the gloom. No one. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and every passing day I saw my son sink a little more. Michael called me less. When he did, his voice sounded dull, lifeless, as if something inside him was slowly turning off. "How are you, my love?" I asked him every time. "Fine, Mom. Everything is fine." But I knew he was lying. A mother always knows. I tried to visit him at his condo 3 times, all 3 times. Sarah had an excuse. "Oh, Emily, what a shame. Just today we have a dinner with parents of some friends of mine. Another day, okay, Emily. Michael is resting. He has had very heavy days at work. Better not disturb him. Mrs. Barnes, we are remodeling. The house is a mess. It is not a good time for visits." Every excuse was like a door slammed in my face. Every refusal, a clear message. You are not welcome here. Sarah called me Mrs. Barnes now. No longer Emily-like at the beginning. The change had been subtle, but deliberate, a way to mark distance, to remind me of my place. Meanwhile, Mr. Davis worked in silence. He sent me weekly reports, updates, progress. I already constituted the shell company. It is called Baggio Investment Group. On paper, it is a firm of investors interested in the automotive sector, and the ghost investors, 3 real businessmen who agreed to lend their names in exchange for compensation. They signed confidentiality agreements. No one will know you are behind it. Perfect. I am preparing a financial analysis of Sterling Industries, one that justifies our interest. We have to look like serious investors who did their homework, not opportunists. How long? 1 more month? Maybe less. Richard Sterling's situation is worsening. 2 of his main suppliers already sued him. He has precautionary embargoes. Banks are tightening the noose. Good. Let him keep sinking. When he is desperate, then we strike. I hung up the phone and stared at the screen. I felt a mix of anticipation and guilt. Anticipation for what was coming. Guilt for not being able to help Michael faster. But I knew I had to wait, that I had to be patient, that justice, true justice, is not rushed. One Wednesday afternoon, Michael appeared at my door without warning. It was almost 8 at night. I was making dinner, baked chicken with potatoes. When I opened, I got scared. His eyes were red, his shirt wrinkled. He smelled of sweat and bleach. Michael, what happened? He entered without saying a word. He dropped onto the living room sofa, covered his face with his hands. Son, talk to me. What happened? It took him several minutes to answer. When he did, his voice was barely a whisper. Today they asked me to clean Richard's private bathroom, the one in his office. My heart froze. There was an important meeting, clients from Germany, men in expensive suits. Richard was showing off the facilities, and when they got to his office, I was there, on my knees, cleaning his toilet. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. One of the Germans asked who I was, and Richard said, "He is my son-in-law. I am teaching him that in this company, we all start from the bottom." And he laughed. He laughed, Mom, and the Germans laughed with him. Tears ran down Michael's face. Sarah was there too. As part of the meeting, she saw me and said nothing. She just looked away, as if I were invisible. I sat next to him. I hugged him. His body was trembling. I quit, Mom. I told Richard I quit, right there, in front of everyone. My heart jumped. And what did he say? He laughed harder. He said, "Perfect. Anyway, I did not need you anymore. You are a terrible employee and a terrible husband for my daughter." And then he told his assistant to prepare my severance. $300, Mom. $300 for 3 months of humiliation. $300, Michael, that does not even cover what he owed you in back wages. I know, but I did not argue. I just signed. I took the check and left. And Sarah, Michael, shook his head. She followed me to the parking lot. She screamed at me that I was a coward, that I had embarrassed her family, that how could I quit like that in front of important clients, that her dad had given me an opportunity and I had wasted it. Michael. I told her he had humiliated me, that her father had treated me like trash, that I had dignity, and she said dignity does not pay the bills, that I was a dreamer, that I needed to grow up and understand how the real world works. He broke down completely. He cried in my arms like when he was a boy, like when he fell at the park and I picked him up, like when he had nightmares and I consoled him. I was wrong, Mom. I was wrong about everything, about Sarah, about her family, about you. I did not listen to you. And now I have no job. I have no wife. I have nothing. You have your dignity, Michael. And believe me, that is worth more than all of Richard Sterling's money. That night, Michael stayed at my house. In his old room, I made his favorite dinner, pancakes. We ate in silence. Every bite was a silent communion between mother and son. After dinner, we sat in the living room. I put on music, oldies, the ones he liked as a child. Do you know what is the worst part? Mom, Michael said, looking at the ceiling. What, my love? That part of me still loves her. I still love Sarah. And that makes me feel even more like an idiot. You are not an idiot for loving Michael. You are human. Love does not turn off from one day to the next, but you have to understand something. True love does not humiliate. True love does not allow you to be destroyed. Do you think she ever loved me? The question hurt me because I knew the answer, and I knew Michael knew it too. He just needed to hear it out loud. I think Sarah loved the idea of you, the man she could mold, the obedient husband, the submissive son-in-law her father could control. But I do not think she loved you, the real Michael, the man with his own dreams, with his own dignity. Michael nodded slowly. You were right from the beginning. I should have listened to you. Do not blame yourself, son. Love makes us blind. Everyone, even mothers. That night, when Michael fell asleep, I stayed awake in the living room. I grabbed my phone. I dialed Mr. Davis's number. Mr. Davis, this is Emily. I need you to speed everything up. We cannot wait any longer. What happened? Michael quit, and Richard Sterling humiliated him for the last time. I need that man to pay. Now. Emily, we just need to fine-tune some details. Give me 1 more week, 5 days. I give you 5 days, all right? 5 days. I hung up. I poured myself a glass of red wine, and I toasted in silence. To justice, I murmured, and to those who thought they could destroy us. The following days were strange. Michael stayed at my house. He did not want to go back to the condo. He did not want to see Sarah. He did not answer her calls. She called my house 3 times, all 3 times. I answered, Mrs. Barnes, I need to talk to Michael. Michael does not want to talk to you, Sarah. He has to come home. We are husband and wife. We have to resolve this. Resolve what? How do you justify allowing your father to humiliate him for 3 months? How do you explain that you smiled while they destroyed him? You do not understand. My dad was testing him. Michael did not pass the test. That is not my fault. A test. Right. And what was the prize if he passed the test? 6 more months cleaning bathrooms? Look, Mrs. Barnes, I know you never liked me. You always believed I was not enough for your son. But the reality is that Michael is not enough for me either. My family has standards, and he simply did not meet them. Those words, that coldness, that calculated cruelty. You are right, Sarah. You were never enough for my son, because being enough requires having a heart. And you clearly do not have one. I hung up before she could answer. Michael was at the kitchen door. He had heard everything. Thanks, Mom. You have nothing to thank me for my love. That woman does not deserve you. She never deserved you. That night, Catherine Sterling called me, Sarah's mom. Her voice was sweet, too sweet, like poisoned honey. Emily, dear, we need to talk. As women, as mothers. I have nothing to talk about with you, Catherine. Please. Just 5 minutes, for the sake of our children. I hesitated, but curiosity won. Fine, speak. Michael is a good boy. We all know that, but he is. How can I put it? Sensitive. Too sensitive. Richard was just trying to toughen him up, to prepare him for the real world. Business is tough, Emily, and men have to be tougher. Toughen him up. By making him clean toilets with a university degree, by humiliating him in front of clients, that was a lesson. One he clearly did not learn. And look, Emily, I am going to be honest with you. Sarah can do better. Someone of her level. Michael is. Well, he's a good kid, but he is not from our world. He never was. There it was. The unvarnished truth, without pretenses. Then leave us alone. Let them divorce and get on with your lives. Ah, but that is the problem. Sarah does not want a divorce. Not yet. A divorce so soon would look bad. What will people say? What will the family think? And what do you propose that Michael comes back, that he asks for forgiveness, that he apologizes to Richard for his outburst, that he shows maturity? And in 6 months, maybe a year, if things do not work out, they can separate discreetly, without scandals, without drama. I laughed. A bitter, dry laugh. You want my son to humiliate himself again, to apologize for defending his dignity. Do you want him to be your family's toy for 6 more months so you can keep up appearances? Emily, be reasonable. Think about Michael, without a job, without a future. Do you think he will get anything better? Richard can help him. He can give him contacts. He can open doors. But Michael has to learn to bow his head, to be humble. Michael is already humble, Catherine. What you want is for him to be submissive, to be a servant with a degree, and that is never going to happen. Then condemn him to a life of mediocrity, because without us, that is the only thing awaiting him. I prefer my son to live in mediocrity with dignity than in luxury with shame. I hung up. My hands were shaking with rage. Michael appeared in the living room. Was that Catherine? Yes. What did she want for you to go back, to humiliate yourself, to be their puppet for 6 more months? Michael sat on the sofa. He looked at his hands. Sometimes I think maybe they are right. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I should have endured it. Maybe. Michael, look at me. He looked up. You are not too sensitive. You are human. You have limits. And those limits were crossed a long time ago. There is nothing wrong with defending your dignity. On the contrary, it is the bravest thing you have done. But now I am here, without a job, without a wife, living with my mom at 28. How is that bravery? Because it is easier to stay in a place where they destroy you than to leave. It is easier to endure than to confront, and you confront it. That, my love, is bravery. Michael's eyes watered again. And now what do I do, Mom? I smiled because I knew something he did not know. I knew that in 5 days everything would change. Now you rest, you heal, you recover, and when you are ready, you start over. But this time, the right way. And if I do not get a job, what if Richard put me on a blacklist? He knows a lot of people. He has influence. Richard Sterling has more problems than he imagines. Believe me, he will not have time to think about you. What do you mean you will see my love? You will see. That night, I dreamed of the future, with Michael smiling again, with Richard Sterling falling, with justice taking its natural course. And when I woke up, there was a message from Mr. Davis. Everything ready. Tomorrow we make the offer. Prepare yourself. I smiled in the darkness of my room. Let the games begin, I whisper. While I tell all this, I think about where you might be listening to me. In what city? In what country? Maybe drinking coffee in your kitchen. Maybe driving to work. Maybe in a living room like mine. Remembering someone who also humiliated you. Write the name of your city in the comment. I would like to know where the women are who, like me, decided that their children's dignity has no price. Thursday morning, I got up earlier than usual. It was 6 o'clock. The sky was still dark. I made coffee. The aroma filled the kitchen and brought back memories of all those mornings when I prepared for battles I knew I had to fight. Michael was still asleep. He had been staying up late, tossing and turning in bed, checking his phone every while. Sarah would not stop sending him messages, some begging, others threatening. Michael, please come home. We can fix this. Do not be childish. Marriages go through crises. This is normal. My dad says if you do not come back in 3 days, he is going to cancel the medical insurance that included you. Are you going to let your mom control your whole life? Every message was a different manipulation, but Michael no longer replied. He had learned, finally, that with people like that, silence is the best answer. At 9 o'clock sharp, my phone rang. Mr. Davis. Good morning, Emily. Ready, more than ready. Perfect. I am sending the letter of intent to Richard Sterling this very morning by certified courier, signed by the representatives of the Midwest Investment Group. In the letter, we express our interest in acquiring his majority stake in Sterling Industries and the offer, $1.5 million for 60% of the shares. It is a generous offer considering the company's real financial situation, but not high enough for him to suspect. How much time do we give him to answer 72 hours. It is a tight deadline, but justifiable. We will say we have other prospects and need a quick answer. Good. And if he accepts, then we meet. We sign a preliminary agreement. We do formal due diligence. And in 3 weeks, maximum a month, the company is yours. And if he refuses, I doubt it. Richard Sterling is desperate. The banks are choking him. He has embargoes, lawsuits. If he does not sell soon, he is going to lose everything anyway. This offer is his lifeline, and he knows it. Then we wait. Exactly. Now we wait. I hung up. I stared at the phone. The first move was made. Like in the chess games Michael taught me to play when he was a teenager. Chess is patience, Mom. He used to tell me. It is not about winning fast. It is about positioning yourself well and waiting for the exact moment to attack. Well, I had positioned myself. Now I just had to wait. Michael came out of his room around 10. He was wearing an old t-shirt and sweatpants, messy hair, 3-day beard. He looked tired but calmer than previous days. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, my love. Did you sleep well? Better than yesterday. I dreamed about weird things, about college, about my old friends. When everything was simpler, I poured him coffee. We sat at the kitchen table. Outside, it began to rain. A soft drizzle hitting the window with a constant rhythm. Michael, I have to ask you something and I need you to be completely honest with me. Sure, Mom. Whatever it is, what are you going to do with your life with Sarah, with everything? He sighed, long, deep. Honestly, I do not know. Part of me wants to believe that Sarah is going to change, that she is going to understand, that she is going to apologize and we are going to start over. But the rational part, that part knows it is impossible. Why impossible? Because it is not just Sarah, right? It is her whole family. It is their way of seeing the world. For them, people like us, people who come from nothing, who had to work for everything. We are inferior, and it does not matter how many degrees I have. It does not matter how hard I try. I am never going to be enough for them. So, what do you need to close that chapter, Michael played with his coffee cup. He stared at it as if the answers were there, floating in the dark liquid. I need to see them fall, Mom. I know it sounds horrible. I know it sounds vengeful. But I need to see that they are not invincible, that they are not better than anyone, that their money and their last name do not protect them from everything. I smiled without him noticing. Sometimes life takes care of that, my love. Sometimes people's arrogance is their own downfall. Do you believe in karma? I believe actions have consequences, and Richard Sterling has sown a lot of cruelty. Eventually, that harvest will arrive. Michael nodded. He drank his coffee. Do you know what is the saddest part? That Sarah was not always like this. At the beginning, she was different, affectionate, attentive, or at least I thought so. Now, I do not know if she faked it or if her family changed her. People do not change that much, Michael. What happens is that at the beginning, we all show our best version. With time, the true nature comes to light. I guess so. We spent the rest of the morning in comfortable silence, watching old movies on TV, eating popcorn, like when he was a teenager and we stayed in pajamas on Sundays doing nothing productive. At 3 p.m, my phone vibrated. Message from Mr. Davis. The letter was delivered. Richard Sterling received it personally. Now we wait for his response. I replied with a simple, perfect. Friday went by slow, very slow, like those days when you wait for medical results or important news. Every hour felt like 3. Michael went out to look for work, sent resumes, made calls, contacted old college classmates. He needed to keep busy. He needed to feel he was doing something productive. I stayed home, working from my computer, checking emails, handling issues from my job, but my mind was elsewhere. It was on that manila envelope Richard Sterling had received. It was on his face reading the offer. It was on his desperation. Saturday morning, early. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Mrs. Emily Barnes. Yes, who is speaking? I am Patricia, executive assistant to Richard Sterling. Mr. Sterling would like to meet with you. Today, if possible. My heart raced. How did he know my name? How did he get my number? Meet with me. What for matters related to your son, Michael? Mr. Sterling considers there are pending issues to resolve. I understood. It was a trap or an attempt at manipulation. Richard knew nothing about the purchase offer linked to me. This was something else. Tell Mr. Sterling I have nothing to talk to him about. If Michael has pending issues, let him resolve them directly with my son. Mrs. Barnes. Mr. Sterling insists. He says it is important, that he has a proposal that could benefit Michael. I'm not interested. Good morning. I hung up. Michael was at my bedroom door. Was it who I think it was? Richard's assistant. He wants to meet with me. What for, I do not know. But it is nothing good. He probably wants to manipulate me, to convince you to go back. You are not going right. Of course not. But something unsettled me. How did he get my personal number? What proposal did he have? Was it just manipulation, or was there something else? An hour later, Sarah called Michael. He did not answer. Then she called my house, my landline, the one almost no one used anymore. I answered. Mrs. Barnes, I need you to listen. Sarah, I already told you. My dad is willing to give Michael another chance. A real position, human resources manager, with a salary of $8,000 a month, full benefits, company car. I stayed silent, processing. Why now? Why the change? Why? Because my dad realized he was too hard on Michael, that he went too far, and he wants to fix things. He wants us to be a family again. Lies. Everything was lies. I could feel it. And do you care what Michael wants? Or are you just following your father's instructions? I care about my marriage, Mrs. Barnes. And I know you also want the best for your son. A good job, stability, future. What I want is his dignity, and that is not negotiable. Look, Mrs. Barnes, I am going to be direct. Michael, without us, is nobody. He is not going to get a job like this anywhere else. My father has contacts. He has power. He can help him or he can destroy him. It is your decision. There it was. The real threat behind the sweet offer. Tell your father that Michael is not for sale and that his threats do not scare us. They are not threats. It is reality, and if you really loved your son, you would convince him to accept this opportunity. If you really loved my son, wouldn't you have stopped them from humiliating him? I hung up. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. Michael had heard everything from the living room. $8,000. Yes, it is more than what I earned before. I know. Do you think I should accept? What do you think? Michael sat on the sofa. He looked at the ceiling. I think it is a trap. I think they are going to keep me there under their control, threatening me constantly. I think they are going to turn my life into a hell disguised as an opportunity. Then you already have your answer. But I also think I am afraid, Mom. Afraid of not getting anything better. Afraid of getting stuck. Afraid of being a failure. I sat next to him. I took his hand. Michael, listen to me well. You are not a failure. You are a man who had the courage to defend himself. That is more than most can say. And about getting a job. Things have a way of working out. Trust me. Why are you so sure? Because I know the world, and I know arrogance always falls. Always. That afternoon, at 5 o'clock sharp, I received the call I was waiting for. Mr. Davis. His voice sounded excited. Emily, he responded, and he accepts the meeting. He wants to meet the representatives of Midwest Investment Group. He wants to negotiate. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. When he proposes Tuesday, in his office, perfect, but not in his office. Neutral ground, a hotel, the Grand Hotel downtown, private boardroom. Okay, I will coordinate everything. Are you going? Not directly. I want you to go with the ghost investors. I will be close, but he cannot see me yet. Understood. This is happening, Emily. It is really happening. Yes. And when it ends, Richard Sterling is going to understand what it is to lose everything. I hung up. I stared out the window. The rain had stopped. The sky was beginning to clear. And for the first time in months, I felt I could breathe. Michael appeared with 2 cups of tea. Everything okay, Mom? Everything is perfect, my love. Everything is perfectly fine. Did something happen? Nothing important. Just work stuff. He looked at me with those eyes that knew me too well. Sometimes I feel like you are hiding something from me. I smiled. I am just protecting you, Michael, like I always have. That night I had dinner with Michael. I made homemade lasagna, his favorite dish, the one I only made on special occasion. Why the lasagna, Mom? It is not a holiday. Do I need a reason to celebrate that my son is home? We toasted with iced tea. We talked about everything and nothing, about his plans, his dreams, about what he wanted to do with his life. I want to help people, Mom. I do not know how yet, but I want to use everything I learned to help people who are in situations like mine, people who are exploited, people who are humiliated in their jobs. That is a beautiful dream, Michael. Do you think it is possible? I think everything is possible when you have your heart in the right place. I hugged him before he went to sleep. I love you, son, and I am so proud of you, more than words can express. I love you too, Mom, and thanks for not judging me, for being here, for everything. When I closed my bedroom door, I allowed myself a smile. Tuesday, everything would change. Tuesday. Richard Sterling would meet the investors who would save him from bankruptcy without knowing that the woman he had despised the most, the mother of the idiot he put to clean bathrooms, would be the one buying his empire. And when he discovered it, when he understood what had happened, it would be too late. Justice is sometimes slow, but when it arrives completely. Monday was the longest day of my life. Every minute felt like an hour, every hour like a full day. Mr. Davis called me early. Everything is confirmed for tomorrow, 10 in the morning. Presidential suite at the Grand Hotel. Richard Sterling confirmed his attendance. He will go accompanied by his lawyer and his accountant. And I will be there, along with the 3 investors. We have all the documentation, financial statements, projections, market analysis. We look completely legitimate, good, and me. You will be in the adjoining room. There is a connecting door. You will be able to hear everything through an audio system I am going to install. When the moment comes, I will come in to consult you. And then we make the revelation. Perfect, Emily. Are you absolutely sure about this? Once we start, there is no turning back. I have never been more sure of anything in my life, Mr. Davis. All right, see you tomorrow, 8:30 at the hotel, to prepare everything before Richard arrives. I hung up. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I was 60 years old, wrinkles around my eyes, gray hair I no longer bothered to dye, but in my gaze there was something I had not seen in years. Fire, determination, justice. Michael came out of his room around 9. He was wearing a clean shirt, dress pants. He had shaved. For the first time in days, he looked like the man he was, not like the shadow they had turned him into. Mom, I have a job interview. I was surprised. Really, we're a logistics company. It is nothing fancy. Operations coordinator. The salary is less than what I earned before, but it is honest. It is dignified. I smiled. My son was healing. I am proud of you, Michael. Go. Do it well. Show them who you are. Thanks, Mom. What are you going to do? Today I have a work meeting, nothing important. Routine stuff. I lied, but it was a necessary lie. I could not tell him anything yet, not until everything was consummated. Michael left around 10. I watched him walk away through the window. He walked differently, more upright, with more confidence. That family had broken him, but they had not destroyed him. And that was the important thing. I spent the rest of the day preparing myself. I chose my clothes for tomorrow. A navy blue suit, sober, elegant, professional, nothing ostentatious, nothing that drew too much attention. I wanted that when Richard Sterling saw me. He would remember me exactly as the woman he had despised. The idiot's mother, the woman from downtown, the one who was not of his class. And I wanted to see his face when he understood that this same woman had just bought his company. At 6 in the afternoon, Michael arrived from his interview. How did it go, my love good, I think. They told me they will call me this week. The manager was nice. He asked me normal questions. Nothing humiliating, nothing weird, just a normal interview. See, the world is full of decent people. You just had the bad luck of meeting the Sterlings first. Michael smiled, a small but genuine smile. Sarah called again. What did she want? She says Friday is her mom's birthday, that Catherine wants me to go, that it would be an opportunity to smooth things over with the family. And what did you say that I would think about it? But I am not going, Mom. I cannot. Not yet. You do not have to go ever if you do not want to. Those people do not deserve your presence. I know, but part of me feels I owe them something, as if I had to prove to them that I am not what they think. Michael, listen to me. You do not owe them anything, absolutely nothing, and you do not have to prove anything to anyone. The people worth it see you for who you are. The others do not matter. We had dinner together, pasta with homemade tomato sauce. Simple, comforting, like the good days of before. That night I could not sleep. I spent it tossing and turning, imagining scenarios, rehearsing conversations in my head, preparing myself for the moment. At 5 a.m. I gave up. I got up. I took a long bath. I got ready with care. Every detail had to be perfect. At 7 I was ready. Michael was still sleeping. I left him a note on the kitchen table. I have a work meeting. I will be back in the afternoon. There is lasagna in the fridge. Heat it for 5 minutes. Love you, Mom. I left home at 7:30. Traffic was heavy, but I arrived at the Grand Hotel at 8:20. Mr. Davis was waiting for me in the lobby. He was accompanied by 3 men in expensive suits, the ghost investors. Good morning, Emily. They are Robert, James, and Henry, the investors of Midwest Investment Group. I shook hands with each one. Serious men, professional, real businessmen who had agreed to lend their names for generous compensation and an airtight confidentiality agreement. Mrs. Barnes, Robert said, it is an honor to help you with this. My father was humiliated by men like Richard Sterling his whole life. So for me, this is personal too. Thank you to everyone for this. We went up to the presidential suite. It was elegant, long mahogany table, leather chairs, large windows with a view of the financial district, coffee, water, and cookies already prepared. Mr. Davis installed the audio system, a small microphone hidden in a centerpiece, the headphones for me in the adjoining room. Test, he said in a low voice. I put on the headphones. I heard him perfectly. It works. Good. Now wait here. When the moment comes, I will knock 3 times on the door. That will be your signal. I stayed alone in the adjoining room, sitting on a sofa with headphones on, my heart beating so hard I thought everyone would hear it. At 10 o'clock sharp, I heard voices, steps, the main door opening. Good morning, Richard Sterling. Nice to meet you. That voice, that damn arrogant voice. Robert, the pleasure is mine. These are my partners, James and Henry, and this is our lawyer, Mr. Davis. I heard chairs moving, people settling in, formal greetings, and they are my lawyer, George, and my accountant, Louis, Richard said. More greetings, more empty courtesies. Well, gentlemen, Robert began, thank you for receiving us. As we expressed in our letter, Midwest Investment Group is interested in acquiring a majority stake in Sterling Industries. Yes, I received your proposal, Richard said. His voice sounded controlled, but there was tension underneath. $1.5 million for 60% of my shares. It is an offer. Interesting. It is a fair offer, considering the current situation of the automotive market, James responded. There was a silence. I could imagine Richard measuring his words. The situation of my company is solid, gentlemen. We have current contracts, plants operating, qualified personnel, plants operating at 30 and 40% capacity, said Mr. Davis. His voice was cold, professional. Bank loans with 18% interest rates. Accounts payable overdue for more than $500,000. Lawsuits from suppliers. Should I continue? Another silence. This one longer. You've done your homework, Richard said. He did not sound so sure anymore. Of course. We do not invest blindly, Mr. Sterling. We know exactly what situation your company is in, and our offer is generous considering all this. And what happens to me? Richard asked. Do you leave me out completely? Not necessarily. Robert responded, We are willing to let you stay as Director of Operations with a fixed salary, but strategic decisions would be made by the new Board of Directors. Director of Operations, in my own company. Technically, it would no longer be your company, Mr. Sterling, it would be ours. I heard a thud, probably Richard hitting the table. I built this company from scratch. My father left it to me. It is my family's legacy, a legacy that is about to be lost completely if you do not accept this offer, said Mr. Davis. Banks are preparing foreclosure proceedings in 3 months. Maximum 4. They are going to execute their guarantees. You are going to lose the company anyway, and not just the company, your house, your cars, everything you have mortgaged. This is extortion. This is business, Mr. Sterling. You took risky decisions. You expanded too fast. You overspent. Now you are paying the consequences. We are offering you a way out. Another silence. I could hear heavy breathing. And if I reject your offer, then we wish you luck, and we wait for the banks to auction the company. We will probably get it for less than half of what we are offering now. Sons of bitches, Richard muttered. Mr. Sterling, said James, understand, we are not your enemies. We want this to work. We want to save the company, save the jobs. But we cannot do it if you do not accept the reality of your situation. Minutes of silence. I could imagine Richard thinking, calculating, looking for exits that did not exist. I need to speak with my lawyer, in private, of course. Take the time you need. We will wait outside. I heard chairs moving, steps, the door opening and closing. Then, Richard's voice, lower, desperate. George, how screwed am I? The lawyer sighed. Very screwed, Richard. They are right. The banks are choking you. I have 3 foreclosure notices on my desk. If you do not pay in 30 days, they are going to execute. And when they start executing, everything comes down like dominoes. And this offer is good. Better than I expected, honestly. It gets you out of debt. It leaves you with some money. And it allows you to stay in the company, even if no longer as owner. I cannot accept this. What will people say? What will my family say? Do you prefer them to say you went bankrupt, that you lost everything because that is what is going to happen if you do not accept? Another long silence. My dad would kill me if he knew this. Your dad is not here. You are, and you have to make a decision today. I need more money. 2 million, not 1.5. You can try, but I do not think they will accept. They know you are desperate. I heard steps again, the door opening. Gentlemen, you can come in. The investors returned. Have you made a decision, Mr. Sterling asked Robert. I have a counterproposal. 2 million for 60%, 1.6. That is our final offer. 1.8, 1.6, or we walk away right now. A silence that felt eternal. Okay? 1.6. Perfect. Then let us prepare the documentation. We need you to sign a preliminary agreement today, and in 2 weeks we close the operation. 2 weeks, 2 weeks. We already did the due diligence. We already know what we are buying. We just need to formalize papers, transfers, registration, and my position. How much am I going to earn as Director of Operations? Henry spoke for the first time. $5,000 a month, plus legal benefits. No bonuses, no stocks, no profit sharing. $5,000, I earn 10 times that. You earn 10 times that. Now your circumstances are different. Take it or leave it. Richard did not answer. The silence was answer enough. Good, said Mr. Davis. I am going to consult with our main investors. There is a topic we need to clarify. A matter. Personal. Wait here. I heard steps approaching my door. 3 knocks. It was the moment. I took off the headphones. I stood up. I took a deep breath. Mr. Davis opened the door. It is time. I walked towards the main room. My legs were shaking, but my mind was clear. Mr. Davis opened the door. I entered. Richard Sterling was sitting at the end of the table, his lawyer and his accountant at his sides. When he saw me, his face transformed. Confusion, then recognition, then disbelief. "Emily, hello, Richard. What are you doing here?" I sat in the main chair, the one at the head of the table, facing him. "Mr. Sterling," said Mr. Davis, "allow me to introduce you to the main investor of Midwest Investment Group, Mrs. Emily Barnes." The color disappeared from Richard's face. No, this is a joke. It is not a joke," I said. My voice sounded calm, cold. "I am the one buying your company, Richard." He stood up. His chair fell backwards. "This is impossible. You do not have that money. You live downtown. You are. What am I, Richard? A working woman, someone who is not of your class. Go on." "I would like to hear it." His lawyer grabbed his arm. "Richard, calm down." "I am not going to calm down. This is fraud. It is conspiracy." "I am going to what I interrupted him. Sue me. With what money? Everything is perfectly legal. Ask your lawyer." Richard's lawyer checked the papers, swallowed hard. "It is legal, Richard. Completely legal." Richard looked at me with pure hatred. Why? I stood up. I walked towards him. Slowly, I looked him straight in the eye. "You really ask why? You put my son to clean toilets. A son with a university degree that cost me years of sacrifice. You called him an idiot. You humiliated him in front of clients, in front of employees, in front of your own daughter. I was teaching him. I do not give a damn what you think you were teaching him. You destroyed my son. And now, Richard Sterling, I am going to destroy the only thing you care about, your damn company. Please," his voice broke. "Please, Emily, we can fix this. We can. There is nothing to fix. You already signed the agreement. You already accepted the offer. In 2 weeks, this company will be mine. And you are going to learn what it is to work for someone else. What it is to take orders. What it is to feel small. I am going to sue you. I am going to. Go ahead, sue me. Spend the little money you will have left on lawyers. Meanwhile, I will be sitting in your office, making decisions, running your company." Richard slumped into his chair. He covered his face with his hands. "This cannot be happening, but it is happening. And do you know what is the best part? That you put yourself in this situation. Your arrogance, your excessive spending, your bad decisions. I just accelerated the inevitable. I got closer. I crouched to be at his level. The next time you want to humiliate someone, make sure their mother does not have the resources to destroy you." I stood up, looked at Mr. Davis. "Prepare the final documents. I want this closed as soon as possible." "Yes, Mrs. Barnes." I walked to the door. Before leaving, I turned around. Richard. One more thing. About that position of Director of Operations. Unfortunately, we are not going to need it. But if you want, I can offer you something in maintenance. I heard we need people to clean toilets. Are you interested? I left before he could answer. In the hallway, I allowed myself to breathe. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from victory, from justice, from peace. I walked out of the hotel with my head held high. The noon sun blinded me for a moment, but I felt lighter than ever, as if a weight I had carried for months had finally been released. Mr. Davis caught up with me in the parking lot. "Emily, that was incredible. I had never seen Richard Sterling so disarmed. Did he sign everything?" "Yes. The preliminary agreement is signed. In 2 weeks, we close the definitive operation. The company will be yours." And he left in a rage. He threatened to sue, to go to the press, but his lawyer calmed him down. He explained that everything is legal, that he has no basis to fight. I smiled. Good. Now comes the important part. I want Michael to be named CEO of Sterling Industries immediately after closing. Are you sure it is a lot of responsibility and the company needs deep restructuring? My son graduated with honors. He has the skills. He just needs the opportunity. And I am going to hire you as legal advisor. You are going to help him with everything. Do you accept? Mr. Davis nodded. It would be an honor. Perfect. I will call you tomorrow to finalize details. I drove back home with a calm heart, but I knew the hardest part was still missing, telling Michael. I arrived around 2 in the afternoon. Michael was in the living room watching news. He looked calm, relaxed. How did your meeting go? Mom, good. Very good, actually. What kind of meeting was it? I sat next to him. I took his hand. Michael, I need to tell you something. Something important. His expression changed. Concern. Are you okay? Did something happen? I am perfectly fine, but there is something I did for you, and you need to know. I told him everything. From the moment I saw him cleaning that bathroom, from the call to Mr. Davis, the investigation, the savings, the shell company, the offer, and finally, the revelation of this morning. Michael listened to me in silence. His face went through 1,000 emotions: surprise, disbelief, amazement, and finally, tears. Mom, did you buy Richard Sterling's company? Yes. Did you spend all your savings, every dollar? But I would do it again 1,000 times. He covered his face with his hands. His shoulders shook. I cannot believe you did that for me. It is too much. It is. You are my son, Michael. There is no too much when it is about you. He hugged me. He cried on my shoulder like when he was a child. But these tears were different. They were not of pain. They were of liberation. And now what is going to happen? He asked when he calmed down. Now you are going to be the CEO of Sterling Industries. What? No, Mom. I cannot. I am not ready. I do not know if... Listen to me, Michael. You studied for this. You prepared for this. And you are going to have all the support you need. Mr. Davis is going to advise you. I am going to be there. But the company needs a leader. And that leader is you. And Richard will no longer be there. I terminated his contract. Michael closed his eyes, took a deep breath. I do not know what to say. Do not say anything. Just prepare yourself, because in 2 weeks, everything changes. That night, my phone did not stop ringing. Calls from unknown numbers, messages, but I did not answer any. The next day, Sarah appeared at my door. It was 9 a.m. Michael had gone out to do some paperwork. I opened and found her standing there, without makeup, messy hair, red eyes. Ed, I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about, Sarah. Please, just 5 minutes. I let her in. We sat in the living room. The atmosphere was tense, cold. My dad is destroyed, she began. He has not left his room since yesterday. My mom is hysterical. The whole family is in crisis. And how could you do this to him? How could you destroy my family like this? I laughed. Without humor? Without joy? How could I? Are you really asking me that? Your father humiliated my son for months. You laughed while he did it. Your family treated us like trash. And now you come to ask me for compassion. My dad was just being tough. It is his way of teaching. He did not deserve this. Your dad was not teaching anything. He was abusing. And now he is paying the consequences. Sarah stood up. You are a vengeful woman, cruel. Michael is going to realize sooner or later. Michael already realized many things, including that he married the wrong woman. I love Michael. No. You love the idea of controlling him, of having him under your thumb. But that is over. He is going to come back to me. He always comes back, because he needs me. Sarah, leave. Leave before I call security. She left, slamming the door, but not before turning and saying, this is not going to stay like this. My family has lawyers. We have contacts. We are going to take back what is ours. Try it. But the only thing you will achieve is losing more money on lawyers. When Michael returned, I told him about Sarah's visit. She came here, yes, to threaten me, to say they are going to fight. Michael sighed. I need to talk to her, clarify things once and for all. Are you sure? Yes. I need to close that chapter. Definitely. That afternoon, Michael went to the condo he had shared with Sarah. I stayed home, waiting, nervous. He returned 3 hours later. He looked tired, but at peace. How did it go? I told her I want a divorce, that there is no turning back, that what we had ended the day she allowed her father to humiliate me. And what did she say? She cried. She begged. She promised she would change, that her dad would change. But I do not believe her anymore. I do not feel anything for her anymore, Mom. It is as if all that love evaporated. Real love does not evaporate, Michael. What you felt was an illusion, and illusions break when reality arrives. I guess so. And the divorce, I already spoke to a lawyer. We are going to start the process next week. She has nothing to fight with. We have no children. We have no shared assets. It is going to be fast. I felt relieved. My son was finally free. The following days were a roller coaster. Richard Sterling tried everything. He called partners, suppliers, clients, trying to sabotage the sale. But Mr. Davis blocked every attempt. The contracts were signed. The agreements were legal. There was no escape. Catherine Sterling sent me a long message, full of insults, of veiled threats. of please disguised as indignation. I deleted it without finishing reading. On Friday, 1 week before the final closing, I received a call from a number I did not recognize. Mrs. Barnes. Yes. Who is speaking? I am Alice Sterling, Richard's sister. Silence. What do you want? I just want to say. Thank you. Excuse me. My brother is a terrible man. Arrogant, cruel. He destroyed a lot of people over the years, including me. So thank you for doing what I never had the courage to do. She hung up before I could answer. That call left me thinking. Richard Sterling had not only hurt Michael, he had hurt a lot of people. And now, finally, he was getting what he deserved. The night before the final closing, I had dinner with Michael. I made his favorite dish, roast beef, rice, homemade biscuits. Tomorrow everything changes, he said. Yes, tomorrow you start your new life. I am scared, Mom. It is normal, but you are also ready. Trust yourself. We toasted with red wine. We looked out the window at the city lights. I still wonder if I did the right thing by quitting that day, Michael reflected. I looked him straight in the eye. And you, what would you have done in my place Tuesday? Arrived with a clear sky. One of those days where the city wakes up clean, without smog, as if the universe itself was celebrating. Michael got up early. I heard him in the shower, then choosing his best suit. The charcoal gray one I had given him for his graduation. The blue tie he had never worn because Sarah said it was too sober. We had breakfast together, coffee, pastries, fruit. Neither of us ate much. Nerves had closed our stomachs. Ready? I asked him. No, but I suppose no one is ready for something like this. We arrived at Mr. Davis's office at 9:30. The signing of documents was scheduled for 10. The ghost investors were already in the boardroom. The accountant, several lawyers, and in the corner, like a defeated man, Richard Sterling. He looked 10 years older than the last time. Deep circles under his eyes, grayish skin, wrinkled suit. Nothing remained of that arrogance that characterized him. When he saw us enter, his eyes filled with hate, but he said nothing. He just looked away. Good morning, greeted Mr. Davis. Let us proceed. For 2 hours, we signed documents, transfers, minutes, powers of attorney. Every signature was one more nail in the coffin of Richard Sterling's empire. Finally, Mr. Davis lifted the last page with this. The transaction is closed. Sterling Industries now belongs to Midwest Investment Group, represented by Mrs. Emily Barnes. Richard signed with a trembling hand. He threw the pen on the table. I hope you are happy, he told me without looking at me. It is not about happiness, Richard. It is about justice. He stood up, grabbed his briefcase. And now, what are you going to humiliate me like you think I humiliated your son? No, I am not like you. Then what do you want? I want you to leave, to get out of this office, to never come near my son again, and to learn that people's dignity is not a game. Richard looked at me with contempt. You do not know what it is to run a company. In 6 months, you are going to go bankrupt. And then, when you come crawling to ask me for help, I will be there, laughing. I am not going to need your help. I have something you never had. What humility, and a son who knows how to work with dignity. Richard looked at Michael. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but he stopped. He shook his head and left. When the door closed, silence filled the room. Mr. Davis broke the moment. Mrs. Barnes, congratulations. Officially, you are the new owner of Sterling Industries. I did not feel euphoria. I did not feel triumph. I just felt peace. Thank you, Mr. Davis. When can we take official possession right now if you want? I have the keys to the facilities, access codes, everything. I looked at Michael. Shall we go see your new office? We drove to the facilities in the business district, that building I had visited months ago looking for my son, that place where I found him destroyed. Now it was ours. We entered through the reception. The girl at the entrance looked at us confused. Good morning. Do you have an appointment? We do not need an appointment, I said calmly. I am Emily Barnes, the new owner of this company. Gather all employees in the main conference room. In 30 minutes, her face turned pale. Yes, ma'am. Right away. We went up to the 5th floor, the main office, the one that had been Richard Sterling's. Michael entered first. He looked around. The mahogany desk, the diplomas on the wall, the panoramic view of the city. This is surreal, he murmured. This is yours. You earned it. No, Mom. You gave it to me. I just opened the door. Now you have to walk through it. Half an hour later, all employees were gathered, about 120 people, some nervous, others curious, everyone wondering what was happening. I went up to the small stage, Michael by my side. "Good morning, my name is Emily Barnes. Starting today, I am the new owner of Sterling Industries." Murmurs, looks, confusion. I know many are worried about their jobs, about their families, about their future. So I will be direct. No one will be fired. No one will see their salary reduced. In fact, we are going to do a complete review of compensations to ensure everyone receives what is fair. More murmurs. But now of relief. This company has gone through difficult times. I know many of you have worked without seeing raises, some even with delayed wages. That ends today. Pending payments will be covered this week. Applause. Small at first, then louder. I want to introduce you to someone. He is Michael Barnes, a graduate in business administration, and starting today, your new CEO. Michael took a step forward. Some recognized him. I saw faces of surprise, of disbelief. He spoke with a firm voice. Many of you saw me a few months ago, in circumstances difficult. Some of you were witnesses to how I was treated here, and I want you to know something. I will never forget how it feels to be on the other side. I will never forget what humiliation is, and that is why I promise that in this company, everyone will be treated with dignity. Everyone. The silence was absolute. It will not be easy. The company has debts. It has problems, but we are going to get ahead, together, as a team, not as bosses and employees, but as co-workers. This time, the applause was spontaneous, genuine. After the meeting, several employees approached Michael to shake his hand, to wish him luck. An older man, in mechanic overall, hugged him. "Mr. Michael, I was there that day, when Mr. Sterling put you to clean. I was so angry, but I could not say anything. I have a family to support, but I want you to know. Many of us admire what you did, leaving with dignity." Michael had tears in his eyes. "Thank you. That means a lot." We spent the rest of the day reviewing documents, financial statements, contracts, debts. The situation was worse than we thought. Richard Sterling had left a disaster. "Mom, this is going to take years to fix." Michael said that night. We were in his new office. It was past 9. The city shone below. "I know, but we are going to achieve it. And if I cannot? What if Richard was right? What if I bankrupt the company in 6 months? I got closer, put my hands on his shoulders. Michael, listen to me. Richard Sterling bankrupted this company with his arrogance, with his ego. You have something he never had: humility, empathy, and desire to do things right. That is worth more than any degree or experience. Do you really believe it with all my heart?" That night, driving back home, I received a message. It was from an unknown number. "Mrs. Barnes, I am Lewis. I worked as an accountant at Sterling Industries. I quit 6 months ago because I could not stand Mr. Sterling's abuses anymore. Today I found out what happened, and I want you to know that if you need help, I am available. I know the company better than anyone, and I would love to be part of this new chapter. No hard feelings, just wanting to do things right." I showed the message to Michael. "See, good people recognize good people. You are going to be surrounded by a great team." Michael smiled for the first time in months. I saw real hope in his eyes. When we arrived home, we found a surprise. Sarah was sitting on the building stairs. When she saw us, she stood up. "Michael, please, I need to talk to you." "Sarah, I already told you. Just 5 minutes, I beg you." Michael looked at me. I nodded. "I am going up. Take your time." I went up to the apartment, but I left the window open. I could hear their voices. "Michael, I made a mistake. I know. I should have defended you. I should have. You should have loved me, Sarah. That is what you should have done. I love you. I have always loved you." "No, you loved the idea of me, the obedient husband, the man your family could control. That is not true. Then why did you smile? Why did you laugh while your father humiliated me?" "Silence, that is what I thought. Sarah, I wish you the best, really, but our path together ended because of the company, because now you have power. It ended the day you chose your family over me, over us." I heard steps, the building door closing. Michael came up minutes later. He looked tired, but at peace. "Everything okay?" "Yes, it is done." I closed that door. That night, we slept peacefully, knowing the hardest part had passed, but also knowing the most important part was just beginning. 6 months later, Sterling Industries was a completely different company. Michael worked day and night, restructured departments, negotiated with suppliers. Recovered clients Richard had lost due to his arrogance. The plants in Ohio and Michigan now operated at 70% capacity. Employees received their salaries on time. Many even received bonuses for the first time in years. I stayed as chair of the board, but I let Michael handle everything. He made the decision. I was just there to support when he needed it. One afternoon in March, Mr. Davis called me. "Emily, I have news. Good or bad depends on how you see it. Richard Sterling filed a lawsuit against you and Michael. For what reason? Fraud, conspiracy, breach of trust, all baseless. His lawyer already contacted me. They want to reach a settlement. What kind of settlement? They want you to sell the company back to them for half of what you paid." I laughed. "Tell his lawyer there is no deal, and if they want to fight in court, go ahead. We have all the documents." Everything was legal. The lawsuit was dismissed 3 weeks later. The judge ruled there were no grounds to proceed. Richard had to pay the court costs, another $10,000 he did not have, in May. I found out from an acquaintance that Richard had to sell his house in the suburbs. He moved to an apartment in a cheaper area. Small, modest, nothing compared to what he had. Catherine left him. They divorced in June. She kept the little they had left and went to live with her sister in Florida. Sarah got married again to an older businessman, rich, the type her family always wanted for her. I knew from Michael she was unhappy, but that was no longer our problem. In August, Michael called me to his office. "Mom, I have something to show you." He showed me a financial report. This quarter we had profits for the first time in 2 years. We paid all bank debts and have positive cash flow. I hugged him. "I am so proud of you. I would not have achieved it without you." "You achieved it, Michael, with your work, with your dedication." That same month I received an unexpected call. "Mrs. Barnes." "Yes." "Who is speaking?" "It is Richard Sterling." My blood froze. "What do you want? Just want to talk. 5 minutes, please." I hesitated, but curiosity won. "I will see you at the coffee shop on the corner of my house tomorrow at 3. He arrived on time. He looked even worse than the last time. Thin, aged, defeated. We sat in silence. We ordered coffee. "Thanks for coming," he said finally. "What do you want, Richard?" "I want. I know I do not deserve it. I know I was cruel to Michael, to you, to many people. And now I am paying for it. What happened? I lost everything. My company, my house, my wife. My daughter barely speaks to me. I am living in a small apartment. I work doing consulting for $3,000 a month. I did not feel satisfaction, just sadness. And why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know that I understood. I understood what I did to your son. I understood what it is to lose everything, what it is to be humiliated. And you were right. I deserved it. I did not come here to hear your self-pity, Richard. I know. I came to tell you that Michael is a great leader, better than me, much better, and that the company is in good hands." He stood up. "I do not expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I am sorry. Really." He left before I could answer. That night, I told Michael. Richard apologized. "Yes. And what did you say?" "Nothing." There was nothing to say. Michael looked out the window. Sometimes I think about him, how he fell, and I feel pity. That makes you a better person than him, my love. He never felt pity for anyone. Do you think I will ever forgive him? I do not know. But you do not have to decide today, in October. Michael met someone, Diana, an architect, sweet, intelligent, from a humble family like us. He brought her to dinner one night. I liked her immediately. "Mrs. Barnes, Michael speaks wonders of you," she said sincerely. "Call me Emily, please. And he speaks wonders of you, too." I saw my son smile, that smile I had not seen since before Sarah, that genuine smile. And I knew he was finally healing. A year after buying the company, we organized a dinner for all employees, a celebration. Michael gave a speech. A year ago, this company was on the verge of collapse. Today, we are profitable, stable, and most importantly, we are a team that respects each other. Applause. None of this would have been possible without you, without your work, your loyalty, your patience. Thank you. More applause. Then he gave me the floor. I just want to say something. Life always collects its debts. Sooner or later, people who sow cruelty harvest loneliness, and those who sow dignity harvest respect. You chose dignity, and that is why you are here. That night, driving back home, Michael told me, "Do you know something, Mom? He once called me crazy." Years later, I saw that same emptiness in his eyes while he was alone in that cafe. Life always collects its debts. I smiled. "Yes, my love. It always collects them Today, 5 years later, I look out the window of my apartment and smile. Michael and Diana got married 2 years ago. They had a simple wedding in the countryside, full of true love, no appearances, no fakeness. Now they are expecting their first child, my first grandchild. Sterling Industries changed its name. Now it is called Barnes Industries. Michael is the CEO. Diana manages the design area. I retired last year, finally. The company has over 200 employees. We opened a third plant. We won international contracts. But the most important thing is it is a place where people work with dignity. Sometimes I see Richard Sterling from afar, at the supermarket, on the street, always alone, always with that empty look of someone who lost everything he thought was important. I do not feel hate, not even satisfaction, just understanding. He built his own prison, brick by brick, humiliation by humiliation. Life did not need me to destroy him. He took care of that all by himself. Sarah got divorced again. I heard she lives with her mom in Florida. Catherine works now as a saleswoman in a boutique. Ironic, considering how they looked at working people. I do not wish them ill. They simply are no longer part of our history. Michael comes to visit me every Sunday. He brings Diana. We eat together. We talk about everything, about the baby, about the company, about life. Mom, he told me last Sunday, I want you to be the baby's godmother. It would be an honor, my love. And I want you to know something. Everything I am, everything I have, I owe to you. No, Michael, you earned it. I just did what any mother would do. Not any mother, Mom. Most would have stayed silent. You fought. I hugged him. My boy, my man, my pride. Sometimes they ask me if I regret spending all my savings to buy that company. And I always answer the same. Not a second. Because it was not about money. It was never about money. It was about dignity, about justice, about proving to my son that no one, absolutely no one, has the right to destroy another human being. The money came back. The company prospered. I recovered my investment and more. But the most important thing I recovered was seeing my son shine again, seeing him walk with his head held high, seeing him lead with empathy, seeing him love again. That is priceless. A few months ago, a woman stopped me on the street. Are you Emily Barnes? Yes. Do we know each other? No. But my husband worked at Sterling Industries when you bought it. And I just want to say thank you for treating him with dignity, for paying him fairly, for giving him back his self-esteem. She left before I could answer. Those are the moments that matter, not the money, not the power, but knowing you made a difference in someone's life. If my story helps a single woman open her eyes, to defend her children, to not stay silent in the face of injustice, it will have been worth it. Because in the end, life is not about how much you have. It is about how much you gave, who you protected, what legacy you leave. And my legacy is simple. A son who knows his mother will always be there, that no one has the right to humiliate him. That dignity is not negotiable. Tomorrow I will go to the company, not to work, just to visit, to see Michael in his office, sitting at that desk that was once Richard Sterling's. And I am going to smile, because justice, although sometimes it takes time, always arrives. And when it arrives, it is sweet. Very sweet. Thank you for listening to the end. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Sometimes a story like this can change a whole day. Subscribe and hit the bell to listen to more stories of women who transformed their pain into wisdom every day. A woman, a life lesson. God bless you. And until next time.